Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics. First, the highlights. Vice President Kashim Shettima calls for transparency in distribution of fertilizers to farmers as Adama State government procures buses to cushion impact of fuel subsidy removal. Joint task force arrests vessel and crew members conveying illegally refined petrol products. Plus, Governor Alia swears in cabinet with key performance index to measure performance. Welcome to the program. I'm Melissa Toroka in Lagos. We begin with the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, calling on stakeholders to ensure transparency, equity and fairness in distribution of fertilizers to farmers. He made the call when he met with Fertilizer Producers and Suppliers Association of Nigeria at the Presidential Villa. Senator Shettima says President Bola Tinubu is passionate about reducing the cost of fertilizers for Nigerian farmers as part of efforts to achieve food security in the country. According to him, the president will be happy if the price of fertilizer collapses by 50% after the exercise. He says the federal government is collaborating with some organizations, including the World Food Programme, to ensure that beneficiaries of the fertilizer distribution exercise are Nigerian farmers. And during the meeting, which also had both Ministers of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari and Senator Sabi Abdullahi in attendance, it was disclosed that 33 metric tons of potash have been distributed to Nigeria by a Russian company, Oral Chem Group, and the United Nations partners. Meanwhile, the Adama State government has received delivery of 10 luxurious buses it procured at the cost of 1,060 million naira from Innocent Motors as part of efforts to supporting Nigerian businesses. The purchase is part of palliative measures, which includes the purchase of grains and non-food items aimed at cushioning the impact of the removal of fuel subsidy by the federal government. This has become necessary, says the government, so as to help ease the transportation problems experienced by Adamawa citizens, as well as bring succor to the people.
Today is one of the other days that we have seen that promise made is promise delivered. And on behalf of Adama State, we received these buses, and our prayer is that they will be used to reduce the hardship our people are going through because of some of the policies of the federal government and the need to help our people get a cushioning effect. We want to, on behalf of the governor, say that these vehicles will be used judiciously, and of course, they will be used for Adama State citizens, because Adama State is our project. Number one, Adama State is project number two, Adama State is project number three. Our prayer is that our people would appreciate the fact that this government belongs to all of us, and we'll put our hands together to support every policy so that we can keep moving from one step to the other as a state.
Welcome back. And just a short while ago, we heard from the Adamawa State Deputy Governor on some of the impact, or rather some of the things, the palliatives, things that are being done to cushion the impact of fuel subsidy removal, and that is the procurement of non-food items, which includes the luxurious buses. But joining me in the studio to talk more about palliative distribution across the country is a social welfare expert, Mo Ladapo. Thanks for joining me at this time.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Are you happy? There's several palliatives going to so many states, but are you happy with the kinds, the types? We're seeing food palliatives. We're also seeing non-food palliatives being distributed. In some cases, we're seeing some very maybe not too happy pictures. I saw one picture of maybe 2 spoons of palm oil, rice. So of course we cannot verify that those are the palliatives, but then these are some of the stories and pictures that are going around.
Well, thank you for this question. First of all, I would commend the government for the decision to share palliative, which is something that's a welcome development, even though it's not new, something that happened during the COVID era. But then again, what we have seen is the palliative being shared are common, items that are needed. However, some of the pictures you would see not trying to support the government, but there are some propaganda, imageries that want to defeat the purpose of what is being shared. But yes, in all, generally, I commend the government. The trucks of rice, the grains that have been taken to different states are very well welcomed. My question or my concern is, if this state will take delivery of them, in the way it has been stated. But yes, I think the palliatives are things that will, in a way, cushion the effect temporarily, not totally.
So would you suggest that it should be an ongoing thing pending when government can really address some of those key challenges that resulting from fuel subsidy in the first place?
I mean, it's an open conversation if palliative should be an ongoing thing. However, it comes at a cost that we all know that the nation is not willing to bear, even though we have the resources, because we know there will be, in some way, some mismanagement. And so we cannot permanently use palliative as a measure to keep, the people going. There must be other permanent decisions that should be made. But I don't think palliatives can be used or should be an ongoing activity, because palliative in a way is not sustainable. There must be other, permanent structures that the government should put in place that should cater for the welfare of the people if palliatives are not provided. These are temporary relief measures like we saw during the COVID time, and we are seeing now because of the fuel subsidy removal. When these are addressed, palliatives should not be a major concern of the government. The government should do something more structured, something more permanent that solves the problem of the most vulnerable in our country.
You mentioned the question of states and, the plans to also distribute effectively the palliative. You questioned that. You said it's a concern. But the federal government says it will act like a sort of big brother to sort of oversee the spending and the sharing. Are you confident that they can adequately monitor and evaluate some of these distributions?
No doubt the government has good intentions and they have a solid plan. My question or my concern is implementation. We've always had problems with implementation, execution strategy. And so what I've seen over time is the government releases these palliatives and these funds, but it ends up in the coffers of a few people. It doesn't trickle down to the people it is meant for. And I see that the government is do not also have an oversight on critical players in social welfare programs, the NGOs, CSOs that can key in and support the government, because government don't have the foot soldiers in every way. They don't have the tentacles. There are people who have the tentacles who play in very, very remote rural areas in each state. So what we found out that while there is an embossment from the government through the states, there is a vacuum, there is a lapse. And this lapse comes in form of the fact that there isn't a proper implementation strategy. And as much as you have that lapses, no matter what the government tries to do, only a few people can really benefit from these programs. And so we are calling for a much more, not just much more transparent implementation, but a much more inclusive one that allows other stakeholders to participate in this distribution so that we can be sure that, yes, this program is effective.
Hopefully they are listening. Thank you so much, social welfare expert Mo Ladipo. Thanks for joining us.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
We continue with other stories. Governor Hyacinth Alia of Benue State has sworn in 17 commissioners and 23 special advisors with a warning to either perform or exit his cabinet. He gave the appointees key performance index, which he says will ensure that his vision of a Benue where citizens feel the impact of service delivery to elicit their participation for the growth of the state is fulfilled in every part of society.
In few weeks from now, key performance indicators, KPI, will be developed to ensure and to measure each and every one of you in the discharge and performance of your duties. You will be periodically monitored and assessed to determine your sustainability to continue to serve Benue people, in which we all are laborers. As people look forward to counting my first 100 days in the office, the 100 days which I'm quite proud to have made much, so are the Benue people looking forward to your first 100 days, and so am I.
And to Abia State, where the governor, Dr. Alex Oti, has launched the Abia State Orientation Agency, describing the initiative as his administration's determination to restore the glory of the state and make it a greater society that every Abia resident will be proud of. Performing the official launch of the Orientation Agency's program at the International Conference Center, Umuahia, Dr. Oti called for a change of mentality and lifestyle, explaining that the new Abia, being championed by his administration, has no room for receiving and offering of bribe.
The management of the Abia State Orientation Agency has its work clearly cut out for it. The government has already rolled out numerous programs and policies to drive our governance agenda. You are therefore mandated to make sure that the people, whether they live in rural or urban centers, are constantly made aware of various government initiatives to improve their lives, especially in the areas that matter most. The state shall be relying on the works of this agency to sensitize the public against behavioral patterns that make nonsense of our determination to hit the reset button and return us to the path that guaranteed peaceful coexistence amongst individuals and communities before now.
Still ahead on the program, we look at the crude oil theft menace in Nigeria. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Illegal refinery and oil theft has been a major challenge in the oil and gas sector. Over the years, solutions have been sought from experts to curb this menace in the country. Our next report takes a look at the recent arrest and destruction of illegal oil businesses.
Illegal oil refineries, a common sight in riverine communities in the Niger Delta region. Government after government, this menace poses a major challenge affecting accountability in their daily production as well as revenue generation. Barely a month into this present government, the military gear up their operations with significant arrests on the activities of these non-state actors in Port Harcourt, River State, and some adjoining areas.
Where the other people when they hide inside bush?
So I come alone, I know I
Only you then come here.
I come by market, people they here. As they run, I know where we are go wrong, but I make a come outside.
With the deployment of military air powers flying constantly across pipeline areas to monitor operators of illegal refineries, discoveries were made, petroleum storage facilities busted, loaded barges blown off, and several arrests made.
As you see us here, this is the entire federal mine network. Strategic individuals and officers are here assembled. Ministers, NNPP, the presidency, the military, we are all here. This is a clear demonstration of a commitment and a belief that indeed time has come for us to more or less say, like what the Minister of the enough is enough, open a new chapter.
This latest visit by concerned government officials to the Niger Delta speaks volumes, and no one can readily say what will be the next line of action from government at addressing these issues.
Meanwhile, the Joint Task Force Operation Delta Safe, OPDS, has arrested a crude oil vessel, MV Ofoma, and crew members for allegedly conveying illegally refined petroleum products. The arrest took place at the Ebonima jetty in Port Harcourt by the Nigerian Navy ship Pathfinder. The component commander, represented by the OPDS commander, Rear Admiral Olusegun Faifera, disclosed that the MV Ofoma was arrested on the 15th of August. The vessel is being used as a storage facility for illegally refined oil products. He also gave the assurance that the Operation Delta Safe will continue in its mandate of eradicating crude oil theft in the country.
Precisely on the 15th of August 2023, a vessel by the name MV Cecilia was arrested in Port Harcourt here by a unit of the maritime component, specifically Nigerian Navy ship Pathfinder. The vessel was receiving products suspected to be illegally refined AGO from a dugout boat, wooden boat, alongside it. You must have seen that. And as at the time it was intercepted, the troops from OPDS headquarters intercepted the boat here. About 20,000 liters of the product has already been transferred from the dugout boat into the vessel here. And currently we have about 3,000 to 5,000 liters still remaining on board, as you must have seen. The product that is suspected to be illegally refined AGO, in the local parlance, it is called Fire. They've given us credible information about where they source the product from, which we will not want to mention here. And just to drop a note of warning, for those that are still involved in these illegalities, they are warned to desist from it and pursue legal means of livelihood, just like other well-meaning Nigerians. And for those that are not ready to desist, those that are adamant, I think the message is that they should just look at their back. We are right on their heels and we'll pick them up.
We head to Edo State, where the governor, Godwin Obaseki, has called on residents to intercede on his behalf by calling on the federal government to allow the state government carry out repairs of the failed sections of federal roads in Edo State. This is not the first time he's making reference to the deplorable state of federal roads there. Mr. Obaseki has been very vocal about his complaints in many fora, insisting that he had made several attempts to carry out palliative measures on his own, but has been rebuffed by the contractors handling the road project. His latest complaint came in at the headquarters of Akoko-Edo local government area of the state, where he was a guest at a Thanksgiving service.
Benin Agbo Road. And Benin Sapele Road are some of the federal highways leading into and out of Edo State. They have something else in common: the deplorable state of portions of each of them. Residents around the Benin Sapele Road area have been outspoken over the condition of the express road for years now, sometimes giving vent to their grievances through peaceful protests.
For 4 or 5 years now, the road has been like this.
See how we are going to say they did the road for 2 weeks. They said he went back again.
This road, being federal government road, why will the federal government not live up to their own responsibility? And it also goes to show that in the course of their campaign or whatever, that me, as soon as I get to the seat, everybody will be for me is just a political statement.
The Benin Ekuma Auchi Road links Kogi, some other northern states, and Abuja. One of the sections currently a major challenge for travelers on this route is around Ekuma. The Benin Ifon Owo Road is another expressway that leads to Auchi. The traffic congestion resulting from the poor condition of sections of the road bewilders motorists.
Now they go. And this one are the best road those of us pass. Yes. What do you want to do now?
For the governor of the state, the deplorable state of the roads is of increasing concern.
Because we are in a situation, a crisis situation, it's like a war situation where we cannot move within our state. Because whereas we are blessed with an extensive network of federal roads, because of the lack of capacity of the federal government to maintain its roads and assets and the unwillingness to allow other people to maintain these roads, we in Edo are almost cut off, and the country is almost cut off.
The state government, however, assures residents of its commitment to building internal roads as it continues to grow the state's economy.
We head to Cross River, where women of the All Progressives Congress are calling on the president to restore their mandate by ensuring that the post of the party's national women leader be returned to a Cross Riverian. They were speaking at the party secretariat in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, where they displayed their thought on the party's decision to take the post away from Dr. Stella Ode, who they say is from Cross River and worthy of the position.
Our prayers, hear our prayers,
And some party politics all may not be well in the camp of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, as a group loyal to the party's founder, Mr. Boniface Anyebonam, had yesterday suspended the party's standard bearer in the last general election, Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso. The group cited what it describes as incompetence of the NNPP NWC dissolution of 8 state chapters by Kwankwaso's group without due process, suspension of Mr. Anyebonam, and consultation with President Tinubu. Also, PDP's Atiku Abubakar and Labour Party's Peter Obi without authorization from the board as its reasons. But in a swift reaction, a group of the NNPP loyal to Rabiu Kwankwaso has reversed his suspension. The Kwankwaso group says the decision is of no effect as it had earlier suspended Mr. Anyebonam as well as the acting national chairman, Mr. Agbo Major, and others from the party. At a meeting in Abuja, the group loyal to Senator Kwankwaso ratified the state's caretaker committees and suspension of 2 articles in the constitution of the party.
From the party to go and talk to Tinubu and talk to any other political group. So he didn't do it on his own. All of them that were expelled were called to a disciplinary committee and they were drilled and they accepted their sin, and it is on the basis of the acceptance of what they had done that they were recommended to the National Working Committee for expulsion. And the National Working Committee took a decision on behalf of NEC, and they knew that 21 days ago today, we wrote INEC that we are holding a National Executive Committee of the NNPP. They knew we are meeting today. INEC will be there. That the National Executive Committee will expel them. That is why they thought they will do a counter coup by 7 of them aggregating in Lagos to say that they've expelled Kwankwaso.
Mr. Galadima was speaking in our political program yesterday. And to other stories, President Bola Tinubu has appointed Mr. Chebu Ebie as the new chairman of the board of the management of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. In a statement by the president's spokesperson, Mr. Adrian Gilali, the current managing director of the commission, Mr. Samuel Ogbuku, has been retained, while former commissioner for sports in River State is the new executive director of finance and administration. Others are Executive Director of Projects, Mr. Victor Antai from Akwa Ibom State, Mr. Ifedayo Abigunde from Ondo State as Executive Director of Corporate Services, among others. According to the statement, the appointments take immediate effect. Elsewhere, the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, has charged heads of agencies under his ministry to walk their talk as the country is at a critical point and in dire need of transformation. In a statement by the Chief Press Secretary, Alao Babatunde, Mr. Tunji Ojo reiterates the order of the president during a briefing with the Controller General, Nigerian Immigration Service and Nigerian Correctional Service that all hands must be on deck to actualize the goals of this administration. He emphasized that no excuse will be tolerated. The minister also highlights that the implementation of advanced technological solutions could significantly reduce delays and streamline the handling of critical challenges. And you've been served lunch this hour. Many thanks for watching. I'm Melissa Walker. Bye for now.